Escape with us on an epic 800-mile train voyage to the land of the midnight sun. We'll take you through Europe's deepest gorges.
We'll be stopping at Trollball. It's Europe's highest vertical mountain range.
Forests rich with monsters.
You can start to understand Nordic mythology.
Your thoughts on trolls.
And to the sea and back.
And you come down here, absolutely different world.
On a journey that reveals a dark Nazi past.
The Germans' plan was to build what they called the Arctic Main Line.
And Viking legends.
Yes.
We'll meet the people who live and work along this special railway.
Look at the tower, look at the roof, look at the dragon heads there. I think it's rather cool.
Before arriving at one of the most stunning places on Earth.
The moment you pass the Arctic Circle, the sky is bluer, the sea is clearer. This is what we're waiting for.
This is no ordinary railway journey. This is one of the most scenic railway journeys in the world. Norway. Our journey begins in Oslo, Norway's capital. Its central train station is the country's busiest. From here, the line runs all the way north to Bodø in the Arctic Circle. On the way, we'll take a detour through the mountains to the coastal town of Åndalsnes. Chief conductor, Hilda, will be taking us to Trondheim. She's a busy woman of very few words.
This is our train.
The EL-18 electric locomotive departs Oslo for Trondheim at 9:40.
Fra Eidsvoll.
This is the Dover line, the first of 3 railway lines we'll be exploring, each with their own distinctive character and story. 344 miles long, the Dover line is nicknamed the Trail of the Trolls. It quickly leaves the ugly industrial south behind and enters Norway's heartland, its green, lush forests.
I've heard so much about Norway, and here is Norway, as beautiful as I've heard of it, so I'm not surprised. No?
This is Elsa and Hans. It's their first time exploring the country by train.
It's very relaxed, I guess.
Yeah, it's very good pace, not too fast, not too slow. You can see everything, but yeah, you're not getting bored. The rumors about the mysterious landscape and it's true, everything.
The railway line clings to the edge of the country's biggest lake, Mjøsa. A vast 140 square miles, it was used by steamboats to ship timber from the forests in the north. Anne Lund is returning home to Bodø after visiting her grandchildren in the south. She makes this trip 5 times a year.
I will describe it as a wonderful journey. I'm always looking out. It's like traveling in a paint or a gallery. Just looking into a forest, it's much better than pictures on the walls.
The Norwegians cherish their woodland. As far back as the 1900s, they decided to map their forests and replant their trees. Today, they have tripled the wood they had 100 years ago.
Lillehammer is the next stop, in about 50 minutes.
100 miles north of Oslo, at the top of Lake Mjøsa, is Lillehammer. Surrounded by mountains, the town hosted the 1994 Winter Olympics. And when the snow melts, its sprawling forests play host to avid summertime hikers, like Annette, who's traveled home to see her folks for the weekend.
I grew up in this area, and I walked since I was a little girl. I walk after work, sorting my mind out and relaxing, listen to the birds and the waterfalls.
Annette likes walking solo, but she's by no means alone. She's got some childhood friends for company.
Here we have a typical Norwegian troll stone where the trolls will live underneath. Different kinds of trolls, a wart on the nose, maybe on the side or here, or trees growing out of the nose, and a lot of hair. Some of them are good and some of them are not. And they can't be seen in the daylight because then they get stoned. And nature is a big part of the Norwegian history. It has always been with us.
Not far from Annette and her troll friends' hangout is another reason to get off the train at Lillehammer.
It smells tar, you know? It's amazing.
Caroline is a big fan of old Norwegian buildings. And it's just as well, when she's not a tour manager for a black metal band, she's a tour guide at the Myhagen Open Air Museum.
So it smells like a sort of smoky, smells a little burnt in a way, but in a nice way. So, yeah, you can still smell it.
It's chock full of original medieval folk dwellings that have been collected from around Norway and transplanted here, all of them crafted from wood.
You could find trees everywhere here, so this was the biggest resource we had.
Her favorite is this 800-year-old church.
This construction is rather amazing. This framework consisting of the wooden columns and the joists on top and in the bottom, creating a frame with wooden planks. No nails, as you can see. And if you wonder if this is a nail, no, it's not. It's a piece of wood, solid as a rock. So it's like an ancient module system, in a way. It's brilliant, I think.
A bit like today's Scandi flat-pack furniture.
Impressive, isn't it? I think it's rather cool. Look at the tower, look at the roof, look at the dragon heads there. Even though we are Christian by the time they made this church, makes me think of the Viking ships. You can see some resemblance, can't you? Look at this. This is where you could end up if you worked on Sundays, if you got pregnant without being married, if you didn't respect the 10 commandments, then you could end up here as a punishment. If a soldier raped a woman, he was given a warning the first time. The second time, he needed to pay. And the third time, he would end up here. Now we are going inside the church to have a peek. When people came here in the medieval times, the women on one side, the men on the other. It was really, really dark, and it was cold. There were no heating. Imagine when it's like 25 cold degrees outside and you're standing in church freezing your butt off. I'm not really a religious person, but take a look at this heavenly light. This is magical.
Next, we'll be traveling along a gravity-defying railway line to take you from the mountains to the sea. We're 100 miles into one of the world's most scenic railway journeys through Norway. Our final destination is Bodø, gateway to miles of national park where keen cyclists Hans and Elsa are planning a holiday.
We are going to Lofoten, which is an island group close to Bodø. And we are bringing our bicycles, so this was the easiest way to travel to Bodø, actually.
The train now has 95 miles to travel to the next stop, Donbass. Here, we'll take the Rauma line, which will take us to the coast.
You can change train to Åndalsnes.
The Rauma line begins in the mountains, 2,000 feet above sea level, and carries passengers 77 miles down to the coast. Per is Norwegian.
Going home, my hometown.
But he likes to speak English with a thick Lancashire accent, learnt from his old friend Tony.
And I'm going home for a couple of days, just to smell the sea, the salt sea.
The fresh air. I met him 50 years ago here, and I lived here for 3 years. Then I lost him for a few years, and then after 43 years, we met up again, and he's just as crazy as he ever was.
34 miles along the line is Bjorli. This mountain village is home to local historian Hans Olav.
Well, I grew up just a few kilometers further south there. And we come 16 years of age, not too many jobs, so we had to leave. And we are 574 meters above the ocean. Has nothing to eat up here. And this part gave about 90,000 to America during the emigration. The higher you come in Norway, the more emigrated to the United States. And then they start to build railroad. It combined the mountain with the fjords.
The Rauma line is a feat of engineering because it runs through the giant Romsdal Valley, which has some of Norway's highest peaks. Taking 14.5 million man-hours to build, it was completed in 1924, and it changed the lives of farming families like Hans Olav's, living isolated in the mountains.
Åndalsnes was like London for me. It's an enormous city, you know. It's only 4 houses, but for me it was enormous. They had tailor, that when you come down to this famous tailors, you feel you had some real clothes on your body. I haven't taken this train since I was a little boy. That was in the 50s.
50 years later, Hans Olav decides to take a trip down memory lane.
Okay. You know, the train in the 50s, they had this 6 or 7 sitting in the same room, right? I remember my mother making like this passenger over her. And when I was young, the women, they even did that when they were walking between the houses at the farm, and they were making. And they were walking. Fantastic. The women were making all the clothes. Very steep now. What they were thinking the first time they come here and said, well, take the railroad down this very steep mountainside. I'm quite sure that somebody said, you are crazy. You're not able to do it.
What made constructing this line so challenging was the steepness of the valley. So engineers designed 4 horseshoe-shaped tunnels inside a mountain.
We're going for a few minutes then and turning 180 degrees around.
That switchback allows a gradual ascent. The train exits the tunnel facing in the opposite direction.
If you look to your left in a moment, you'll see the famous Scenic Bridge. It is one of the most spectacular bridges in Norway.
Even though the Rauma line is only 77 miles long, it has 32 bridges. Chilling Bridge is the most iconic.
There it is. Beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful.
Construction on the stone bridge began in 1913 and wasn't finished until 8 years later. 250 feet long and 200 feet high, it towers over the Rauma River. Chilling in Norwegian means chicken, and crossing the bridge isn't for the faint-hearted. But fortunately, this local has a head for heights.
Chilling Bridge.
"15 miles from the Chilling Bridge, the train hits the most dramatic part of the Romsdal Valley.
Well, we're stopping at Trollveggen. The Troll Wall is Europe's highest vertical mountain range.
The Troll Peaks, legendary in Norwegian folklore, loom an awesome 2,000 feet tall, attracting climbers from all around the world.
There are always some routes that has never been climbed before. Very difficult. It's the best ones who are training here. And some of them go to Mount Everest. They are waiting for a mountain to fall down.
Last year it moved 7 meters, and during one day it moved over 1 meter during one day. It was quite fast, so we're just waiting for it.
It happened on the western coast of Norway more than 100 years ago, and we are waiting for the worst case.
This valley is the birthplace of mountaineering in Norway.
A lot of people, they think they were crazy, you know.
And Hans Olav has a personal connection with one of its pioneers.
The man who was one of the first to climb this route was the tailor we went to get our clothes from when I was a little boy. And he was so famous, so I felt a little bit good wearing his clothes.
Arn Randers Hen, king of the Romsdal Valley, conquered his first Troll Peak in 1928 and climbed it for the last time aged 80. During the Second World War, the tailor by day played a key role for the Norwegian resistance, helping captives escape the Nazis by leading them through the mountains. One of his most famous missions took place in 1944, when he climbed a troll peak to map the Nazi facilities in the valley. The Norwegian authorities were so impressed, they thought Hen had used an aerial photograph. After the war, he received a special thanks from Eisenhower.
So people come all over from the rest of the world to try to follow the track of the pioneers. Yes. I start weeping a little bit. Bring back the memories. I was in 6, 7 years of age. Yes.
At the mouth of the Rauma River is Åndalsnes.
Beautiful.
Population today, 3,000.
Oh, this is absolutely new. You look at a modern building, too modern for me. And coming on a train for a farmer's boy, oh, that was big. That was like going on a jumbo jet 747 and seeing New York. It's a small distance to go from the high mountain and a farmer's son down to the fjord. You go into an absolutely different world. You're living up there among stone and mountain, and you come down here where everything is growing. Everything. And the building is a museum, and it's the memory of this Anders Hen, that's built in his memory. I'm a part of that museum myself. You need some heroes, you know. You need some heroes.
We continue our journey 120 miles north to Trondheim, a major hub in the center of the country and one time Viking capital.
I have been around the world and I've never seen landscape like this. Look at the landscape. No wonder you take the trip many times.
Globetrotter Eivind makes certain he takes this particular line at least once a year.
It's getting wilder and wilder the further north you come, you know. It's just a fantastic landscape, actually. And you never get tired of watching it. And it's different from day to day. It's not far from your thoughts of trolls, and you can start to understand the Nordic mythology with the thunder god Thor and Odin with one eye and the warrior kind of philosophy. the landscape, it's confirming the culture, you know. The people reflects the landscape in a way. The people from the south, they are not the same as the people from the north. It's very hard to get from one valley to another valley because the landscape is so harsh.
We are now approaching Trondheim.
The Dover line takes us to Trondheim station, gateway to the north. It's from here that lines shoot off to some of the country's most remote destinations and to neighboring Sweden. The city's home to Europe's northernmost medieval cathedral. But before Christianity came to town, Trondheim was Norway's capital and a Viking stronghold.
Skål. Skål. Skål.
Each year, this bunch of Vikings gets together to spend a week celebrating midsummer and the longest day of the year.
Not to offend anyone in the UK, but the reason why there's so many beautiful women in Norway is that we took all the beautiful women from the UK during the Viking period and we brought them back here. And hence why we're so beautiful now.
Well, if you say so. They try to be as authentic as possible, while some Vikings like hitting the shops. Others prefer to hit the bars.
Have you tried the meat?
No.
Tried meat? Yeah, tried meat.
Oh, that's nice.
So this is mead. It was the closest thing you came to spirits back in medieval times. If you want to get really hammered, mead's your friend.
Skål!
Do it.
And their diet? Strictly Viking, of course.
I'm cooking a goose stew. It is traditional Viking food as far as we know. It's recreated from findings that have been found inside people's bellies.
Well, the dog will have it, even if no one else will. This motley crew each have their own unique reasons for being there.
We have always been Vikings, you know. You have it already in you. And if you don't have it in you, it's very difficult to find it.
For others, it's less spiritual and more social.
What attracted me to this was how people live their lives and how is their love life, how is their mating rituals, how did they drink, how did they party, how did they fight, how did everything work?
Stick around and you'll find out. The high point of the week is seeing in summer solstice.
So welcome.
Which is really an excuse for an all-nighter.
We like to party, and the party can go on and on and on.
I'm braiding some flowers into a circle.
As soon as you get about 6 points, then things get a little bit, well, it's not classy anymore.
Norway is intoxicating.
Shit makes flower grows.
It will get wilder. Just saying.
Nice.
It's going to be a long night. In a few stops, we'll be getting off the train in reindeer country to meet one of Norway's indigenous Sami people. We're in the city of Trondheim in the middle of Norway. It's a major rail junction where the Dover line from Oslo ends and the Nordland line begins. The Nordland line is Norway's longest and the only one that crosses into the Arctic Circle, traveling through some of the world's most beautiful national parks, bathed in midnight sun.
We're going to Bodø, the best train on the Norwegian State Railways. In about 4 minutes, we will leave from Trondheim. But first, we need to have the engine driver in the front.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the train guard, and I wish you welcome on board this train to Bodø. Estimated time, Bodø, 5:32. Have a nice day. Thank you.
This 453-mile-long Arctic line with 293 bridges and 154 tunnels transports travelers into one of the most unspoilt parts of Norway.
It's special for the tourists. They like to drive on this line. They like to see out of the window, see how much beautiful country we have. And it's also the best line in Norway. Short stop only, and we're waiting for a signal.
The first stop, just 27 miles north, is a small terminal renowned for employing the station master from hell.
Kan toget 1773 kjøre fra Hell, Oscar, Sierra, Sierra?
And there's a reason why she has such a terrible reputation.
We are in Hell Station. It's quite okay. Really. Very much tourists. And they all are out on the stairs and taking photograph of the hell, of the wall.
Tourists pass through this village each year just for the photo opportunity.
One time there was a guy coming with a train, and he was from England. And he asked me if I could take a picture of him when he stand under the name Hell. Because he said, my ex-wife told me always to go to hell, and now I can show her I've been there.
After a long career on the railways, Tovu's stuck in hell.
Been here 32 years, so I have enjoyed it. I can't do anything else, so I have to be here.
But thanks to a recent makeover, it's not such a bad place to be.
We got a new kitchen, new living room. Now we have everything. Microwave, we can cook pizza or anything in the stove. And we have a washing machine. Now I can relax a little bit.
The train's quiet today, so there's time for the staff to take stock.
I think I have to have one of the best views at work in Norway. And especially on this line, the Nordlandsbanen, it's quite varied.
Working on the Nordland line is 26-year-old Håkon's holiday job, when he's not doing teacher training at Trondheim University.
This is my third summer now, so I work part-time in the cafe. So I can work here some weekends or in the summers or vacations. That's one of the good things about the job too. You meet so many different people.
On the menu today,
We got the Norwegian meatballs, traditional dish.
Kjøttkaker, meatballs, and potatoes. Yes, it's all right. Good enough.
but some choose to swerve the meatballs.
Homemade. It is much better to take it from home. Oh, today I have ham and cheese, brown cheese.
This is brown cheese, traditional Norwegian cheese. It's very good on waffles.
The Norwegians have been eating brown cheese for hundreds of years. It's made by boiling milk, cream and whey, which turns the sugars into caramel, giving it a sweet, cheesy flavor. The train is just 125 miles south of the Arctic Circle.
Trofors. It's the next station. Here is a lot of reindeer, and we have had a lot of accidents with the reindeer in this area. We make a border for reindeer. You will see it on the line here.
We're now in the indigenous Sami country. They're the only people in Norway legally allowed to own reindeer. They've herded them across Arctic Scandinavia, Finland and Russia since the Ice Age.
This is Messi and Sven. Sven is inspired from the film Frozen. And Messi he's messy. He was messy from the beginning. Shitting all over the house, actually. It was a mess.
And this is Nils, a young Sami living near the Nordland line who's adopted 2 reindeer calves because they lost their mother to a high-speed train.
I don't think they know that they are reindeers. Walking around like the dogs, helping me with everything. They come when I call them by their names. So they're a part of the family, having a good time. They're building the antlers. They grow them as big as they can get. The one with the biggest antlers gets the most ladies.
Niels and his family have been making a living the same way for hundreds of years.
We have been here for generations. His father, his grandfather, his grand-grandfather have all been here working with the reindeers. When my father was young, he was walking and skiing after the reindeers. Only in the last tens of years, people have started to live in houses. The nomadic way of life, you always move with the herd to better grazing lands.
The Sami let their herds roam wild to graze all year, which makes their meat a nutritious delicacy.
It isn't enough reindeer meat in Norway that we can sell it to the other countries. Ones who buy the most is the local people. You can't find a more healthy meat than reindeer meat.
The railway company has started building a 30-mile-long fence to keep reindeer off the Nordland line. Until it's finished, Niels spends a lot of time trying to make sure his deer are nowhere near the tracks.
And if we find some reindeers, we have to scare them away or call the railroad company and ask them to stop every train that is coming.
But they're so free range, half the time he doesn't know where they are.
They're really hard to find. Either you have to use the dog to find them, or you have these GPS collars. I was hoping they could show me a little bit. The last one was updated 5 hours ago.
They've cheated the GPS. Time to try a different bit of surveillance.
I use the drone as often as I can. It's just easier to look over a bigger area. I couldn't see anything.
The good news is Nils's 3,000 reindeer are nowhere near the train tracks. The bad news is he has no idea where they are.
I'm not worried today. If I can't find any reindeer in the next month, I will be a little bit more worried.
Retired teacher Peter French has been all over the world by train. It's his favorite way to travel.
Stunning the whole way, perhaps mile after mile of fantastic scenery. Mountains, snow, water, fantastic valleys, punctuated by wonderful Norwegian building. You're actually on a long journey. You're spending hours looking at scenery the whole time, and you can't hardly keep up with it. Get a few tunnels, mind you. You do get a few tunnels. Annoyingly, they come along just when you're trying to take a picture.
The train is approaching Mosjøen, a stretch of the Nordland line with a dark history. When Norway was occupied in World War II, the Nazis pushed the line from Mosjøen forward 55 miles to Mo i Rana.
You can say it's a kind of remains after the enemy. This is a German austerity steam locomotive that came to Norway during the war. And this is the last remaining example out of 74 that came here.
The Nazis needed to mass-produce trains cheaply to aid their war effort. The result? The DRB Class 52, 1,600 horsepower.
The specific one was actually made for hill climbing, not running fast. Low-drivered slogging machines that could pull a decent load up the hills in this country. The whole concept and stripped down everything that actually wasn't necessary. In that way, they got man-hours down 6,000 per engine. They saved a lot of materials, especially bronze and copper and such, which was scarce in Germany at that time. And they were actually built to go to the Eastern Front and not return, all the way to Narvik. The Germans' plan was to build what they called the Arctic main line to Murmansk in what is today Russia. And that would have been some projects.
Building a railway this far north had proved too difficult for the locals, but the Nazis had something the Norwegians didn't: forced labor.
Basically, it was prisoner of wars, convicts, in slave labor camps. A lot of them perished, a lot of them. It's always puzzled me. Why don't you feed your slaves?
25,000 men were put to work building the railway, and the huge loss of life led Norwegians to later call it Blodbanen, the bloodline. When the war ended, northern Norway inherited a bitter but invaluable legacy.
We didn't have to build new steam. Even in Britain, you built new steam up to 1960. But we didn't have to, because of these massive engines. They ran until 1970. It was the end of steam in Norway. But as it proved, they were durable machines. They were rumored to be around 500 still in existence in strategic reserves in Russia. I think that was the boys' stuff of dreams when I grew up, when everybody wanted to be an engine driver. Today, engine drivers, they have 9 months at school and then they're out driving by themselves. In steam days in Norway, you could easily go as a fireman for 12 to 15 years before you were allowed to drive. It's a craft to run and fire a steam locomotive.
We're getting closer to our final destination, Bodø, land of the midnight sun, where we will experience some of the country's most stunning national park.
Welcome to the Arctic.
We are now passing the Arctic Circle. The train is now at 680 meters above sea level.
We're 66 degrees north, passing through the Saltviela mountain range, where the land of the midnight sun begins. Our final destination is Bodø, on the coast, which leads to some of the most beautiful national parks in the world. This diesel locomotive is charging along the Arctic Nordland line into one of the remotest parts of an already sparsely populated country.
This is just on a different level altogether.
You come here for a holiday, you don't get crowded out with people, and you get to see the views, and you haven't got all the tourists in your way. This is well worth exploring, the northern part. I mean, it's exceeded our expectations because we thought it would be quite good, but I mean, it's spectacular scenery, and it's like miles after mile.
30 miles south of the end of the line is a village. Population, 1,500.
It's quite open, rugged, and it's like it's opening its arm to you and said, "Welcome home, buddy. We missed you." This is a small place, Valnesfjord, mostly famous for its delicious carrots because of the climate. There are very little insects, very little sickness.
The good people of Valnesfjord are pretty pleased with their carrots. And as they only see an hour of daylight in midwinter, it's no wonder they spend a lot of time celebrating something that helps them see in the dark. Valnesfjord was featured on a Norwegian news show when an effigy resembling a carrot mysteriously sprung up on a roundabout overnight, putting the village firmly on the map. But it's possible their passion had turned into fixation by the time they launched their carrot-themed thermals. Local photographer Rune Nilsson has made a career from this landscape since he arrived 23 years ago.
The moment you pass the Arctic Circle, the sky is bluer, the sea is clearer, the sun sparkles even more.
But this is just for starters. Leaving the carrot village behind, the train continues towards its final destination.
There are long stretches where the train goes along the fjord, literally 6 feet from the ocean. So you can almost hear the waves. The railroad is integrated into the nature, into the terrain.
On behalf of the group, thank you for traveling with us. The final stop in Bodø. The train is scheduled platform.
And here we are, at the end of the line. Bodø, the gateway to unrivaled, endless Arctic beauty.
And a 5-minute walk, and you are straight into the woods. It's the dramatic. You've got this vast ocean, these steep mountains, an alpine sea landscape, because the mountains around here coming straight up from the ocean. That makes this coast so special. As always, it's a light that gives character to this landscape. It can be flat, boring. Half an hour later, it explodes color and contrast. You can photograph the same mountain 200 times and get 200 distinctly different pictures.
Here, each summer, for 6 entire weeks, the sun never dips below the horizon.
The best light around midnight, and you got this golden flare and golden quality to the light. Because photography is kind of writing with light. You're trying to tell a story, and you have to understand the light, you have to let it grasp the landscape, and you have to be there. Good light comes with the tempo of a snail, and it evaporates like a lightning. It's gone. And this is what we're waiting for during the winter. When the snow gales chase you through the streets like an angry polar bear, snapping at your ankles. Then you slam your door shut and light a fire, brew a cup of tea, and you dream about this. This is the end goal. And now, finally, we're here.
We have traveled 800 miles from Oslo, via the western coast, through the forest and mountains, to here. The Arctic wilderness, a truly awe-inspiring railway journey.
You couldn't get more Norway than this.